So, I know a while back I did a story similar to this not too long ago, but hey, it's always fun to revisit an old story. And this is the cartoon version of 52. Not like the new 52. I'm talking 52, the event that that was kind of the sequel to Infinite Crisis and also built up to Final Crisis. It was a night. It was a 52 was a cool comic because for those who don't know what it was, 52 was basically a year-long event where Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman they all retired after they basically went on their own adventures or retired for like a year after the events of Infinite Crisis, and all the other superheroes had to like pick up the pace in all their own little adventures and whatnot. It was a cool focus on like the big focus being like we got Renee Montoya as the Question. We had a big focus on Booster Gold, all that good stuff. So in here, this is going to be the cartoon version of that. So hope you all enjoy and let's get started. So the story begins like the day after a massive crisis happened. What was that crisis? Basically what happened was Megatron launched an all-out assault of the Decepticons on Earth. He led the biggest Decepticon army. Like, he rallied everyone. He rallied all the Decepticons into one attack on Earth that was held the line by Optimus, not just by Optimus and the Autobots, but like all the heroes got together and like held the line, and it was brutal. Like, it was a brutal war, and there was a lot of after the war ended, essentially what happened is that Optimus killed Megatron. He finally killed Megatron in the fight, but there's a lot of like anti-Cybertronian sentiment going on, and there was a lot of talk of like, well, if the Autobots weren't here, the Decepticons wouldn't have shown up. It's very much of this thought process of, well, if you guys weren't here, you know, your war should have stayed on your world and all of that, and a lot of focus is on Optimus Prime. So Optimus is like brought to the UN to like be put on trial, even though he helped save the world. Optimus is like, look, if it makes the world better and like if like you'll spare the Autobots and let them stay on Earth, you know, I'll leave. So he literally gives up the matrix of leadership and goes into space in like self-exile, leaving the Autobots leaderless. Among other things that happened, two other major events happened during the Decepticon invasion. One being is that let's talk about Kim Possible real quick. Kim basically, her whole storyline was that during the Decepticon war, what happened was she had to like really do some horrendous things to stop the Decepticons. Like, she killed a few Decepticons, but also like kind of compromised herself along the way. So now she's kind of like, I need to like reprocess myself here because I'm she's dealing with PTSD, and also realized there's a lot of mean in me that I don't like. There's something evil in me. Or not evil, I should say, but like there's something wrong with me. Because I enjoy, like, she even confines it wrong, like, I liked killing those cons a little too much. And I tortured a few of them. So, I need to, like, evaluate myself before I'm back on active duty. Then we come to Danny Phantom. Danny, during the war, what happened to him was that during a battle, there was a battle involving trying to stop Shockwave from harvesting the Earth's core for Energon. Danny led that assault with other heroes and Autobots. What happened was Shockwave hit him with a beam that deactivated his powers. While he's still he's basically worked with Utonium and a few other like scientists here and there, and is like, hey, you might still get your powers back, but it's gonna take a long time. Like, there's a chance, albeit a small one, but you could get your powers could reactivate. Danny even tries to use the ghost portal accident again to like reactivate his powers. It's not working. So Danny now has to like go he goes into the ghost zone to like find a way to reactivate his powers. And also like he also contemplates, do I want a normal life? Probably not. Like I did the whole do I want a normal life to begin with, and it didn't work out well. So Danny's now like in the ghost zone training with not only the Far Frozen, but he also is like, look, if I'm really gonna have to get my powers back, I gotta work with something a little harder. So he he finds Skulker and starts training with him. So he talks to Skulker like, look, man, if I don't get my powers back, you don't get the ultimate prize anymore. So you help me get help me find my powers again, and you get you get to have the ultimate prize, because there's a good chance not only will I get my powers back, but I'll come back stronger. And wouldn't I be a worthy trophy for you then? And Skulker's like, okay, bitch, let's go. So Danny's gone off in the Ghost Zone to train with Skulker, and he's gone, so now it's a whole year. Optimus, Kim, and Danny are off the table. Everyone else is kind of on their own adventures now. The three biggest here, Optimus Prime is in self-exile, Kim's taken herself off the board, and Danny is now powerless. So there's kind of a power structure, there has to be a power restructure for a lot of characters. Namely, a few of the, some veteran characters are still around. Thankfully, characters like the Powerpuff Girls, they're still around. G.I. Joe is still, operating. The Autobots are diminished because they, during the war, they did lose a lot of, a lot of Autobots were killed, and now they don't have Optimus. And the Matrix of Leadership isn't taking anyone. So one of the side stories, because 52 was basically a bunch of side stories interacting with several characters, was that 52 was like that. So Bumblebee and a few other Autobots go into space in order to find Optimus again. Meanwhile, on Earth, Prowl and Ironhide are trying to keep what's left of the Autobots together, even though they have very, very vastly different ways of doing it. Because Prowl's more well, if mankind doesn't want our help, then let's just fuck off and leave. And Ironhide's that's not what Prime would want, and, Earth is our home. We can't go back to Cybertron. It's fucking dead. So they both have, Ironhide and Prowl are constantly clashing over leadership, since Optimus basically left those two in charge. Among other things, you also have, let's talk about some other things that are going on at the time. Now that Danny, Kim, and Prime are no longer around, like I said, other heroes have to, pick up the pace. Among them is Steven and the Crystal Gems. They're basically called to Muni. They get called to Muni by Star, and she's like, hey, so I found something, and you're gonna want to look at this. So Steven and the Crystal Gems are brought to Muni, and they discover that there is this massive ship that was of gem origin in Muni, and they're like, how the hell did that get there? So the plot line there is that Star and the Crystal Gems have to discover this connection between Muni and Homeworld. There's a connection there. In another storyline, you have that the events from Megatron's invasion have decimated a lot of they've just decimated a lot of forces, and a lot of villains are coming out of the woodwork to take the scraps of a rebuilding world after the Decepticon invasion. So among those, you have just legions of villains all over trying uniting and whatnot, and forming their own forming one big cabal of villains, an Injustice League. So you have several heroes uniting to stop that. You also have that Valerie picks up the pace and Valerie and Danny Phantom, Danny's clone, Danny with an I, picking up the pace in protecting Amity Park now that Danny's no longer around. As for who's picking up the pace for Kim, that title goes to Totally Spies. Meanwhile, in space, the Megatron may be gone, but the Decepticons are still at war with each other. So now it's not a united Decepticon front like the Autobots. It's now that the Decepticons are forming either they're all forming under banners other major Decepticon warlords like Starscream, but also you have Overlord and Thunderwing and Straxus and all these other, and Scorponok. They all have their own it's a major Decepticon civil war to see who will unite them. And you also have other Decepticons who are making their own war bands and pillaging and plundering planets. So several cosmic heroes are trying to keep the Decepticon civil war, intergalactic civil war, from, you know, spiraling out of control. Which is, it's going pretty bad. So yeah, it's not just Starscream and Soundwave at a war with each other, or Shockwave. It's like, again, Overlord, Scorponok, Straxus, Thunderwing, all of those major Decepticon warlords who fancied themselves as the next Megatron. Then you have, back on Earth, you have a... well, let's actually talk about some of the space heroes that are involved there. Like, you have Lars and his group, of off-colors. You have Wander and Sylvia caught in the crossfire. You have even like some like Space Ghost is in the middle of this war. And all the cosmic heroes are trying to like fight these fight this gathering storm of Decepticon warbands. Then on Earth you have Randy Cunningham, the ninja, who has been conscripted into a war by the Arashikage, because the Arashikage show up and are like, hey man, look, so here's the thing. Your clan is an offshoot of the Arashikage. You guys split away from us eons ago, and now there's a war, we're erupting into a war with the Hunts clan and the Foot, so you're being conscripted. So now Randy's being trained as an Arashikage, and is now like learning new skills and whatnot. And at the same time, that war is being, like, he's now being forced to fight that war, or that underground war, and it brings him to Paris, where he comes in contact with Alia, aka Reina Rouge, and a, you know, romance strikes up from there. So it's not all doom and gloom. You also have other things like, there's also a matter that Penn, Sashi, and Boone, they get conscripted into a... Phyllis comes back and is like, hey, you guys are being conscripted into a new task force in order to protect the multiverse. What are they protecting the multiverse from? The Chaos Gods. Because what happened was that Megatron's war on Earth was so bad, it basically, the war for Earth, like the Decepticon invasion of Earth was so bad, it like called out into the multiverse, and the Chaos Gods listened. On top of that, you have other matters that are being dealt with, like there's this whole thing that on the Boiling Isles. The Boiling Isles are the Boiling Isles in here are essentially like, it's starting to sink, like the Isles are like, the Titan is starting to sink, and they need to find a new home, or they're all going to get wiped out. So Luz, Amity, and Ida and the others are on this adventure to find like a new suitable home for the inhabitants of the Boiling Isles, and they think they can find a home on Eternia, you know, home of He-Man. But of course, Skeletor is already like trying to fuck shit up, and he's already brought into the fold the former members of the Coven that didn't turn on Bellows. So he's got like all those Coven members, even Amity's mom, with him to keep this from keep this new home from happening. You also have the Gargoyles, who are caught in the middle of this underground war with the Foot and the Arashikage. The Ninja Turtles are also... It's like a mini Shadowland, in a way. So, yeah. So there's a lot... Like, it's a lot of overarching storylines. But there you go, guys. That is pretty much the new updated version of 52. You guys tell me in the comments below what'd you guys think of it, and let me know what stories you would have in here. Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.